It's a Christmas surprise on these shears that just came in the door for me to sharpen. Wasn't going to record anything today, wasn't in the mood, but yeah, I got a little surprise when I started to work on these. So let's get started on it and I'll show you how hopefully I'm going to fix them. First surprise wasn't a big surprise. The lady brought them in, and she's a groomer. She works out of her home, and she dropped them and they won't close. They've got a huge nick here. And she said, I don't know if you can fix them or not. So she looked at some new shears, and might have been smarter, more economic to say, no, I can't fix them, and just sold her a new pair. But no, I'm going to sharpen them. So let's see what I'm going to do. Now, the first thing I did, and that's before I started this video, is I took them apart. And that's where my Christmas surprise came. If you watch my videos, you'll know a lot of times on these curved shears, I don't take them apart. And this one, I don't know, for some reason I decided to. And I saw someone talking about this on Sharpeners chat on Facebook. And I really hadn't come across it because I don't do as many groomers as salons. But this was my Christmas surprise. Drum roll. This probably won't be a big surprise to you, but watch this. When I take my screw off, boing! It's a spring in here. No, I haven't come across these. I think they're really common for some people, but there's that spring, so I've got to put that back in there. Another crazy screw. So I'm going to take these apart, clean them, checking for my washers, making sure I've got everything. And I've got to work on this inside with that giant nick is my first job. Alcohol. And I need to hurry up and do this. I'm actually going to a Christmas luncheon. I think they're going to be socially distancing. I would think so, because it's a Christmas luncheon for old people. People over the age of 55. And I've hit that age a few years back, but we won't talk about how many years back. Except that I started Medicare this year. And these are my arc homes. These are the new ones. When you get them, they usually will have tape on them. I've gotten to where I don't really use the tape because I've kind of gotten used to where I need to be. I have these in, I'm going to just say medium and fine. This is, I never can remember numbers. The yellow one is, I don't know, it's all in Japanese. $1,000 grit. And then I think this one is 2,000 grit, right? Oh, that's wrong box. That's the 220. Yeah, the 220 is, I wouldn't use it on shears, but I use the 220 on when I'm needing to flatten these out because it's shaped the same way. See, I can get them the same shape. So like, for instance, this is starting to look rough, and I can kind of do this. Now, I do have had them in water. I have a cup of water here that they've been sitting in for while I sharpened their thinning shears. So what's that, 10 minutes? That's good enough. I just need to get these done because I said I have places to go and things to do. So since I'm not using the tape and I want to make sure I'm not doing a relaxed ride line, I'm doing, you know, as flat as possible. Of course, I have to estimate it. I'm kind of putting my finger, it's the weight of the stone. I'm not pressing hard. I have my finger where it's on the top part, so it's maybe just a hair angle this way. I don't know, this is hard to explain unless we're kind of side by side, but just understand it's just the weight of the stone. I'm not pressing, I'm just kind of guiding it. And I'm especially working here. That's Misty walking behind me, working on Christmas gifts. Now this one I can use this side, because see it's concave, and same type of thing. And I'm not pressing hard, doing a little bit of extra right here where that nick is. But this has worked better than anything else I've ever used on doing these curved shears. Anybody that says that they can do these curved shears with no problem either is a genius and I need to take a class with them, or they're lying, or they're just optimistic. Maybe I'll just say that. Because all of these, in my opinion, are a problem. And you can't charge more for them, because groomers usually, you know, they got so many shears. And, you know, typically I charge less for groomers, even though some of these are a lot harder job. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going down to the finer grit. And I could have colored up the back to make sure I wasn't hitting the back. That's another option there too. So, I have a 8000 grit cushion plate on here. That's the one I'll be using for this blade. And these are Sensei. I think those, I'm going to set it up 40. It may be 45. But it's going to take a little bit to get that nick out, and I'm thinking 40 is going to be fine. This is not like a champion dog groomer. She has a little shop she works out of her home. I think this is their only set of shears. And she only brought me in 3-4 clipper blades and said they've never been sharpened before. So I don't think she's doing a whole lot of work. So I don't think she needs something super sharp, because I'm really concerned about getting that deep nick out. Go a little bit faster, get some light on what I'm doing. Can you see what I'm doing? Yep, you can see me. Ooh, I saw that nick disappear. What I think I'm going to do is, while I still have it in here, I'm going to go over this again. Knock that inside burr off. And then I'm back. All that dinging back there is Misty going in and outside the office for something. I don't know what. I don't feel that nick. It's gone. That was a huge nick. In fact, I'm going to let you see. Yeah, it's a big old clunky thing. There it is. There's the big old nick. Ugly. You see them a lot on these dogs. Now, I can't do this plate for this shear because that tip would touch the other side. So this is when I'm using my curve adapter. Right now I've got an 80 grit on here. I think that's going to be too coarse. Well, maybe I'll do that and then switch out to something finer, because I got to take a little bit off of that nick, don't I? Now see, this curve adapter, my tip is going down in this hole, so I can get that whole surface as I'm coming by here. And I'm staying at the 40 degrees. I'm going to go a little bit slow. Now my curve adapter was the one that got glued on a little crookedy. So if you were to buy one, it probably would not be as vibrating as mine is. But I get the leftovers. So this is a 800, worn 800. I'm flipping out too. And you can cut any grit that you want to for these. I have one for polishing. I don't use it very often. I mean, sometimes you get a beauty shear that's for polishing. If you like these things and you don't have a Cymac, You may have to buy your own metal plate, and we sell this without the metal plate so you can glue it down. And I've got all the reds gone. Looks like I've got a burr. Big old honking burr, as I call them. Let's knock that burr off, like we did on the other blade. I mean, I don't always do it this way, but because I have a big old nick, I gotta make sure before I go through all the effort of taking it apart and putting it back together again, that nick is gone. Now this is kind of cool. That is metal that's curled up there. Looks like a hair. But that's actually metal. Let me zoom in. Maybe you can see that. Can you see it a little bit? Yeah, you can see that right there. That's metal that's curled up. And there's some right there. That's actually the burr that's come off. You zoomed in, I think you can see better than I can. This is the point where I may, instead of going back to this stone, I may just use my nail buffer and knock those things off. Now I'm going to feel. Feeling something here. Feel as good as I like. Let me go over this one more time. Something not good there. Slow down. Still don't like that. Let's give it a whirl. Let's put it back together and see. We got it. Sometimes just wiping it off good with a microfiber cloth will get some of those weirdness out of there. So we want to move my stone, don't want any alcohol on that. And if there's something y'all are having some problems with in sharpening shears, or would like to see, put something in the comment section or contact me. I have a few more videos on Facebook group, Sharpeners Jam group, that are not on YouTube. So I would suggest to join the Sharpeners Jam group. And that one, if you have questions or things you'd like to see or know more about, there are other sharpeners on there, and maybe somebody besides me can answer the questions. So it creates a little bit of community with other sharpeners. And what I'm looking at now is to see if I have kept my ride line. And I have. It's really wimpy. I see something right in here. Don't like the looks of it. Still feeling some nicks right in there. Sometimes you can go to that white side just a little bit more aggressive. I wouldn't do it on the inside. I would always stay with the gray. I sure utilize this nail buffer a lot. feel like it's so fine I really can't mess up the shears with it. But it can kind of add that little bit of finesse. Oh, I'm not crazy the way that feels, but let's see how it cuts. Make sure this one feels good. That one also has some like teeny tiny nicks. I wonder if I ought to polish it. I don't want it pushing any hair. Well, let's put it together and cut with it and see what happens. Now I get to put that weird screw back in there. My Christmas surprise screw. The boing screw? What should we call it? Hold that down with your thumb. But I could see a stylist accidentally loosening this to the point that that spring goes flying across the room. I guess you could buy them. This is a Sensei shear. I guess you could buy that part from Sensei. I'm having a hard time making that go on there. Let's try holding it down on this side. There, that's the trick. Alright, now, I usually will feel to see if it's about the right adjustment. Oh, I noticed she lost her finger rest. I better stick one of those on. Always check for that first. I didn't notice at first whether that was there. Okay, so now I'm cutting the paper towel. I usually don't cut all the way down. I'll loosen it a little bit. Because that probably with that spring feels tighter than it really needs to be. So I cut a little bit more, and I'm actually using pressure. And I cut some kind of burr off. You hear how it's quieter each time I cut? I think that's way too tight. It says patent pending. That might be on that screw. I really don't know what the advantage is of that over like the little bell spring washer. But, alright, so if these cut dry, that's sufficient. Now I'm using least pressure possible. Cuts dry. Alright. Let's see if it cuts wet. Not perfectly. Do you see that? As I said, on these type of shears, if they can cut dry, that may be good enough. And go over it with a nail buffer again. See that? Not great, not great. But she didn't think I could save them at all. I could probably go over them again and get them where they cut wet. And I may do that. But let's see how they cut hair. Flip them over the other way. A little bit of push right in here. I think they're going to be sufficient. If it's hairstylists, I might work on them some more. Dog groomer working from our home. Some of your perfectionists out there are appalled that I'm like, okay, this'll do. These are fine. I'll give them back to her. What you run into is if you're a perfectionist, you could keep piddling with these until they don't cut at all. They cut nice, they cut dry, which is probably going to be fine for what she's using them for. I could tell her that next time I think I can get them a little bit better, or, you know, kind of always check the tips. You see me doing that. You know, I could say, I've improved these 100%. I got the nick out. Tell me what you think. And then if she says something about it, then you can work on them some more. But the nick is gone. They close. I think she's going to be amazingly happy with these. And the wet tissue cutting that means that you got all the nicks out. You got all the burrs out. It doesn't tell you how sharp it is. I think there's some teensy-tiny nicks still in there. I could go back and take off some more metal, but I think I've got them out sufficiently for way she needs them. So let me put them in the little case. I've oiled them, and text the customer and tell her her little Christmas surprise shears are ready. And I always like to add at the end, if, you know, 60% of you that are watching my videos are not subscribers. Now, why do you need to subscribe? A couple of things. It's a compliment to me if you subscribe. It says, hey, I like your channel. If you turn on the notifications, it'll let you know that when we have a new video up. If you don't turn on notifications, it just makes it easier to find my other videos, because you can go over on your subscribers and see if there's anything new. You don't necessarily have to have it pop up every time I have a new video out. But subscribing is also a way that helps me with YouTube, so that my videos come up a little bit faster and seen by more people. And hopefully that will help more of your fellow sharpeners be better sharpeners. And, you know, so it's a lot easier going behind someone who is sharpened correctly than someone who hasn't. And both of these shears I just sharpened, this one here in particular, I was the first one to sharpen them. I much rather deal with bad nicks and dropping and that kind of thing than trying to correct some others' bad sharpening. And I've got a lot of videos on those too. So go back to my channel, join our Sharpeners Jam group on Facebook, and take a look at our website and see if there's any products or anything that you need. We're a little family business, not a great big company. We get things sent out, and when you call, you probably talk to me or my daughter or my husband or one of us here at the family. So thanks for watching.